Let me set the camera first. Here we go. And the size. Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Gilles Marin, and I'm the director and founder of the Chinesan Institute in Saint Rafael, in California, and Institut Chinesan in Nice, France. My work, in a nutshell, is to get people to enjoy life again. So I'm reading, and I put the text over because I'm aware that English for me is my second language, and sometimes it's not easy to understand. So please bear with me, and I'm going to read, so I'm going to be going faster and better. So I've been teaching worldwide the certification program in Qin Sound. So that's a discipline from Taoist Chinese tradition. And so from all over California, Colorado, New Mexico, Canada, France, Germany, Japan, New Zealand, over 30 years of unbroken clinical practice in professional hands-on healing. Training in Feldenkrais method of therapeutic movement and postural integration, and osteopathic cranial sacral manipulation and lymphatic work. That's for the Western aspects of my work. Now, mostly is from Eastern perspective. I learn healing from many schools and masters, mainly starting with an intensive training in martial arts, especially in Aikido. I got my black belt in '82. In Tai Chi Chuan, I have 6-year training from the Yang style Chen Mai Ching. So I'm lost here. Anyway, so I learned from a traditional Japanese hands-on therapeutic massage from Aikido with Shiatsu, Kwatsu, Jinshin Jutsu, and with Tai Chi masters. I learned Tuina, Chinese medical massage, and classical Chinese medicine with Dr. Stephen Cheng. Dr. Cheng is the author of the first book in English in Chinese acupuncture. I learned Taoist functional meditation in Chinesan and Qigong with Master Mantak Chia, among others. My formal educations, starting by the end, the biology of cancer at UC Santa Cruz, anatomy, physiology, and psychology in San Francisco City College, psychology of education, Université des Langues et Lettres de Grenoble in France, linguistics, and electrotechnics, even I started when I was a teenager, and lycée technique as a high school. Technology in high school based on electricity. I wrote 3 books published. Last one not published yet, just about. Healing from Within Chinesan, North Atlantic in '99, 5 Elements, 6 Conditions for Healing in 2005, and the 5 Intelligences of the Tao of Consciousness coming up soon. I was induced into the World Massage Hall of Fame this spring in March. Next. Now, enough about myself. Let's talk about my work. So first, about cognition and the nervous system. For me, as a holistic practitioner, it is quite impossible not to address the aspects of cognition when working with the nervous system. And even though our research on the brain brought us an enormous amount of information to explain a lot of behavior, our Western culture does not offer us very much in terms of a science of consciousness. Our scientific model, based on building blocks, did not allow us to apprehend the vastness and the complexity of our mind the way I learned it through the practice of Taoist and Buddhist practices. So I will be using the Taoist model, commonly used in classical Chinese and Tibetan medicine, in their meditation Qigong practices. So I'm going to make it very simple and to the point. In a nutshell, it is important to understand the base of the cognition. We have 5 intelligences, not only 1 or 2. and we have one mind with 5 intelligences. So very simple. We all know that actually. It's all knowledge that your body knows. We have on the back of from the past. We have actually a temporal axis with the 3 intelligences right there, with the past, present, and future. From the past, we have the instinct that gives us carries the memory of our previous, ancestors. All the lessons learns, from habits, and everything, from even older than we are. Basically, the intelligence older than we are. So that's whatever, for neurological people, that is being carried by that part of the brain. Then we have, going toward the future, we have intuition. Now that's different between intuition and instinct. Instinct from the past. Intuition brings us to our future. Intuition guides us in life through attraction. We're attracted to certain things. We like that. And so that's from our heart. It's a guidance from our heart. It's a different sense, a different intelligence altogether. So instinct from the past, that's from our bones, the bones of our ancestor. Toward of fire or inner fire, the heart, toward the future, intuition. But in the center, right here, right now, we have to use all the things from the past and going toward the future, but we need to be anchored into the present. And that's the physical intelligence, that's our body, our manifestations. So we are here, right now. Yes, we're going in that direction. Yes, we're coming from there. That's about our habit. But right here, right now, we need to live, basically. So that's the temporal axis. Intuition in the front, instinct in the back, practical intelligence in the front, functional. We need to adapt from the past and to basically see what's the future is coming up. Now, that's temporal axis, and we have a part of our mind that's completely out of time and space, and that's the thinking process. Actually, thinking is that extraordinary capacity to step out of the present, to be spaced out, for example, all our thoughts, or into our feelings, into our emotions, sensations. So that's another axis, non-temporal. I'm going ahead of myself here. Okay, time and space in 2 parts. So rational thinking, that's one side, and I might think, okay, it might be coming from the left side of the brain, whatever, or the left side of the brain is using, the mind is using the left side of the brain to manifest itself. So that's the other direction. That is more personal. And the spirit we share, and we share with the past, we're going to share in the future, but in the meantime, we're in the present. In our present, we have our feelings, but thinking is detached. Now, where's pain coming from all that? Pain comes from only 2 of the intelligences. Either from the inside, from the site of the pain itself, where there is a sensation, and that's emotionally charged, always. There's always an emotional charge attached to pain. Or the memory of pain, which is, of course, still charged, but then it's imprinted and it's hardwired into our instincts. That's coming from the past. And so something that's is current, since we feel it still, but it might be sometime older than we are, carrying ancestral patterns of tension in there. Now, where is that located in the brain? I don't think that we're going to find either emotions or memories in our brain. I don't think that our brain is designed for that. In my opinion, our poor brain has been way overrated and attributed with capacities not able to perform. Yes, our mind uses our brain to manifest itself, but the mind has to give permission for any pain to happen. It's not the brain, it's the mind. And for that, it needs to loop the impulse from the site of the pain to the brain and back. That's where it is. The brain is being used basically by the mind. So then, of course, the brain has to develop more neurons in order for the mind to manifest itself in a more expensive way. Now, our mind uses much more than our nervous system to manifest. In terms of transmission of information, the endocrine system is much more immediate than the slow nervous system. The nervous system works by impulse, and that takes time. Now we see when people have a degeneration of the myelin sheaths, for example, with what they call it, the Lyme disease, or things like that. That's it. It takes a long time for the impulse to be transmitted. But in terms of hormones, it's immediate and it's chemical. It's like a smell. As soon as you smell something, boom, you have a reaction inside the body. So basically, the cells are able to smell whatever is going on in the person, and that's the communication between the person in the body and the body of the person. Communication is how to call it mind-body connection. So the important place to consider then is the connection between the nervous system and so the brain and the endocrine system, and that's through the hypothalamus. Hanging from the hypothalamus, you have the pineal and the pituitary. And the pituitary, that's the master gland that connects with the brain. And the pineal, that's a very important gland. We're going to see later on how we use it. Now, for the emotional pain, the neural location is not the brain, it's actually inside the abdomen. It's the enteric nervous system and manifests itself in a series of spasms given to different tissue. Usually that's where pain is coming from. Pain is actually contraction. It's manifests into spasm, and it's not a nerve. The nerve is just a transmission. And the spasm is in the soft muscles. It maybe gets a pattern of fascia that gets tight, and they actually can squeeze actually even the heart. And the pericardium does that to the heart. So the spasm of the physical factor of pain. The enteric nervous system is responsible for the emotional awareness. Now, the whole of the current emotional state of a person is present in his or her guts. Conscious, non-conscious, or subconscious, doesn't matter. Everything is there. This has been proven to me every day of my work practice, which is sound healing from within. As soon as my hands are connecting with the mobility and motility of the guts, the patient enters dream time, and he enters dream time and most often falls asleep with my hands deep inside the abdomen. Now, how you do that is because you connected with dream time. So you have rapid eye movement, tremors, jerking of the limb, facial expression, all signals of an active part of sleep loaded with emotional content. My practice of Tao with Qigong let me know that our dream state is the only time in our life that allows us to be 100% emotional. Fortunately, we are paralyzed in beds, and most often, we won't remember anything on awakening. But the work of emotional processing has been done. It is what the ancient texts and teachers call internal alchemy, the extraction of the quintessence of our emotional experience to feed our soul and to eliminate the emotional byproducts. That's how we refine ourselves emotionally and acquire some maturity eventually. This is why our large intestine is so innervated. There are more nerves connection in the colon than anywhere else in the body but the brain. And that's Michael Gershon, and that surgeon that wrote a book called The Second Brain. Our colon is the site of our emotional awareness, and that takes a lot of work. So let's pause it for now. Okay, so I'm back. So, about my treatment. We got the perspective I'm coming from and the holistic perspective. Now it's about my treatments of people with cerebral infirmities. So, from my perspective, I don't work on the disease. I work on the person. So, the work the work focuses to improve the health of the client, to get him or her out of the field of pathology and into the field of healing. For that purpose, we have to do everything possible to improve vitality and to avoid everything that would compromise it, to get the person to get better and better, in short, instead of worse. In short, in my practice, the idea is to get the client out of the system of habits that made the disease possible. And often, especially with Parkinson's, I can find the emotional structure that comes way back from childhood. So that's why the emotional aspect is so important. So my methodology is threefold, and it's threefold, but working together spontaneously. It's not in sequence. Number one, of course, the metabolic. So metabolic is focused on reversing the sympathetic response into parasympathetic response. So it's changing from stress to recovery, increasing serotonin and endorphin production, and inhibiting adrenaline and other stress hormones and neurotransmitters. Number two, emotional. So it could be all number one because it's all going together. My approach to the emotional body is manual and mostly non-verbal. We don't talk. This to me is most important to take the patient off their habitual negative emotional mode. No healing is possible, no regeneration of nerves can be established if the person is emotionally burdened. If the system is acidic, stressed, we're spending the nerves, not regenerating them. So there are manual techniques to address the emotional structure of the pattern of tension that triggered the onset of symptoms. It's done manually, the same way that we comfort someone has been emotionally into shock. No talk, does the work. You hold your hand on the shoulders, you hug the person, you hold the person. It's physical. It has to be a physical connection there. And I know doctors don't like to touch, but somehow that's why I provide this alternative. Number three is structural. So, manually addressing the physical manifestation of the pattern of tension, reflecting the emotional attitude of the pathological factor, or the chronic emotional aspects we need to address. And this is done both at the visceral and structural levels, showing and teaching to the nervous system of the person that there are choices and that we can change the whole pattern of habit that carries the pathological factor into a more beneficial ones. So let's go get those parts one by one, more to detail. How do I do that? How do I affect the metabolic approach? This is mostly done as homework. I give the work to do to the client. So there are three ways I approach that. And number one, we have to bring back the spirits. And the person that comes are very dispirited. They have the label of being diseased. The first thing I have to do is to get them into more positive mode. So I let them first describe, their condition, and of course it boils down to a death sentence most of the time. And they describe their symptom, and as they describe the symptom, they get more dispirited. Then what I do, I describe my approach to healing and given their life history, especially I make them understand that according to the amount of emotional stress they went through during the years previous to their diagnosis, I show them how the disease is actually a healthy reaction to an unhealthy situation. So basically that I make them understand that they are not falling apart. It's a healthy reaction, so somewhere they are healthy. Given the emotional hardship they went through, It would not be normal for the spirit to remain undisturbed and to let them live their life as usual. They went through something that prevents them to enjoy life any longer. This is not acceptable for their spirits. A spirit has no mercy. If we can't enjoy life any longer, that sends an inner message that we don't deserve to live. Then it is either deep depression with suicidal tendency, or the accident, or the stroke, or the heart attack, and that's the end. However, the spirit is patient. If there is any chance for the patient to be able to change and gets back on the right track, spirit will wait. But it has to give them a strong jolt to stir them into the right direction. So they get a disease of some kind that becomes chronic and would require them to change dramatically and grow into the right direction through a healing process, so they don't get affected any longer by their pathological factors. That's how I approach disease. This disease has to be strong enough to oblige them to change. So this means that the stronger the disease, the stronger their spirits. If their spirit didn't kill them, it is because they have all it takes, basically, to heal, even if it is going to take them to take all they have. In short, the reason why they are so sick is because the spirit is so strong. When the spirit is recognized and validated in such a way, it can't help but come out spontaneously and show itself either as a laugh, and most of the time it's a laugh, for even the worst of circumstances. Then they might also cry. But both laugh and cry are very emotionally close to each other and are both signs of the spirit being awakened. And this is a very good sign. Life is coming back. So, about number 2 now, maintaining a spirit. Once you got the spirit, in touch with spirit, we have to maintain it in place. And I can keep the spirit as long as they're with me, but of course when they walk out, then they're back into their old pattern of habits and their environments, and it's hard to keep the spirit up. So I give them homework. So once the spirit is awake, he has to be kept awake, and this is my favorite exercise. I do it myself as often as I can. It's called sunning functional meditation, and consists of training our body to manufacture more serotonin and endorphins, and to inhibit the production of adrenaline and other stress hormones and neurotransmitters. So, in short, basically, you face the sun, you close your eyes, and you slowly count to 300. Make sure you have 3 minutes. So you allow the warmth and the light to slowly penetrate your eyeballs through your closed eyelids, and you mentally draw the light and the warmth from the optic nerve, the back of your eyeballs, the way to the brain and to the nerves. You want to bring a nice warmth, soothing light to your nervous system. You spend the feeling to the back of your brain, spinal cord, all the nerves in the body, all the way to the surface of your skin. You want to really get the lights really to glow inside of you. So you feel like you're glowing lights. After 3 minutes, open your eyes and you look around, and you should feel like you are wearing sunglasses. You are not affected by the glare of the light. So what happened? Not to be affected by sun glare, your pupils has to shrink, right? But to shrink your pupil, you have to be in parasympathetic mode. Right? You know that if you're on stress, the pupils are wide open. To get down to parasympathetic mode in 3 minutes, you have to have a shot of serotonin. So basically, you're training your body to make more serotonin by doing this exercise. So this has to be done, at least for the first week, 3 times during the day to maintain the pattern of habit to change from being an adrenaline to being into serotonin. So a few things we need to do in order to make it work is, number 1, no melatonin supplements. And that's an hormone, and any hormonal intake you put in there, that it confuses the body. and the body feels like, wow, it's flooded with the hormone already, so it's not going to produce it. So you're actually preventing the body from producing the right hormone by taking some. So no melatonin. You need to do the sunning 3 times a day until you get the habit, and then all you need is a trigger, once a day, and maintain it all the time becomes habit. That's fine. It might take a few weeks. And of course, because you're making serotonin turns into melatonin at night. And that's where healing happens. So going to bed earlier and earlier as the serotonin production turns into melatonin, 8 hours minimum in the summer and up to 12 to 16 hours during winter. So we have to teach the body to sleep longer. And being able to sleep while you're not tired. Actually, being tired prevents a good sleep. So that's my include daytime naps. In my opinion, sleeping is the only way to recover from nerve damage. It is imperative to go to sleep not too late after sunset. There are laws in Chinese medicine based on the flow of the life force into the meridian system that explains the need for the body to be asleep, especially between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. to recover from the nervous system. You have to be asleep. If you're awake, that most of insomniacs do, they wake up around 11 at night, you burning your nervous system like a candle, both ends at the same time. Now, also, between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m., that's the time for emotions, emotional charge to dreams. So, needing to be asleep, and that requires a lot of energy on this time of the night. So we need to be rested from the previous part of the night. So, number 3, we're building new neurological pathways. Once we awaken the spirits, so once we maintain the spirits, number 3, we need to get the spirits to help us rebuild the neurological pathways. So we're actually not trying to recuperate the nerves that are gone, that's the old system. We're working with a new operating system here. We're asking the brain to build new pathways. So there are 3 main factors to being able to create a new operating system for the brain and the nervous system in general, thus creating new synapses and new system of neurons to enhance movement capacity and mental clarity. So number 1, more serotonin. Number 2, more sleep. Number 3, using the nervous system in a new way, changing habits. And that's basically what's called exercises to happen every day, more homework. So number 1, the sunning. Number 2, going to bed early. Number 3, exercises during the daytime. So the change of elements and habits help to regenerate neural pathways. So some of the exercise I give to my clients, I'm sure there's all the exercise that can be invented and used for the needs to adapt to each client. So spending time in a low swimming pool, that's been very useful. Walking, floating around, or just comfortably sitting in an armchair inside the water, especially people with Parkinson, where fear is so anchored in them, really to learn to feel secure, even an unusual element. Walking slowly on the spot, on the trampoline, while holding on something, to work with balancing and neural pathways. And doing unusual things in general, doing things in an unusual way, or walking backward, bouncing a ball, all kinds of things. Okay, so that's for the metabolic. Now, emotional processing. Emotional processing, basically, it has to be done during sleep. So 2 ways going on simultaneously. Manually guiding the breath and connecting the movement of the diaphragm. That's the technique I was telling you about. And that has to be done manually. And basically, you have to unlock the breath. And the breath, that's the bridge of cognition. It's the bridge that cognition used to allow emotions to be conscious. So while breathing through mouth, eyes, or clundering, it is all those things. I ask them that I have to show. It's very hard to describe. Then usually when that happens, when I start to get in touch with the enteric, motility and the motility of the tissue, of the intestinal mobility of the colon with the breath, spontaneously they go into dream time. And I guide them, so I validate whatever they feel, and usually just fall asleep. And that's okay. Because that's when you see, there's all jerking, the movement of the facial, and even the hands, sometimes they even jump, and jerk. All kind of things happen. So it really shows that there is heavy-duty kind of energy moving through their dreams, and processing is happening. And then number 3 is healing touch, mostly technical. It's working with the structure, the internal structure, the internal patterns of tension that creates a pathology. So my experience with treating people with chronic pain is that pain always shows on an emotionally significant place rather than a lesion. And when the pain shows on the lesion, it is because the lesion is located on a specifically emotionally charged area. This is language of the physical body that does not speak English, of course, and this is universal language of pain. As such, chronic pain in the stomach can point to experiencing major stress at home. Pain in the stomach, and that's very central. So that's through my experience. So pain of the gallbladder, bowel duct point to people running out of patience for a long time and getting bitter. So all kind of things like that. My brain-based strategy for people with chronic pain is to give their brain actually a break. People come to me burned out, full of drugs, traumatized, and dispirited. Some of my clients were contemplating suicide for not being able to have a break from their pain, to be always in suffering, not be able to sleep, and living in a constant nightmare. So my approach not only involves working with alignment and postural integration, but also requires addressing metabolic manifestation and emotional charge causing neuropathies. And so it's all together, working all this together. My approach is strictly holistic. It involves the recognition that the nervous system alone cannot entirely be the cause of the chronic aspect of pain, and it requires the involvement of the endocrine system and muscular structures, especially the muscular structure of breath and the soft muscles in the guts and the enteric system. So it requires also to accept the fact that the brain is extremely plastic and can regenerate new neurological pathways given the right conditions. So my understanding on how the brain works in regards to pain is that it connects the enteric nervous system with the sympathetic nervous response of the autonomic nervous system. And the enteric nervous system holds the emotional charges associated with the original onset of the event causing the pain. This triggers a pattern of structural tension constituting the general postural emotional attitude of the patient. This pattern of structural tension is also reflected at the internal level involving all viscera, including breath, heartbeat, and digestive transit. And basically, the whole thing becomes spastic, and pain is going to manifest in different directions, different ways. So that's my approach. Then I use other helpers to bring healing and the nervous system. So first, healing has to happen. I'm not going to give herbs or any kind of adaptogen if people are not already on the healing path. Once healing is happening, time is on our side, and we take our time also. The patient is getting better and better instead of worse. Only then do I use supplements such as adaptogen, dietary suggestion, and some lifestyle changes. To give an adaptogen to someone who is not on their healing path, of course, it would be very damaging, and it would actually reinforce symptoms. And don't give ginseng to someone with chronic fatigue, when the chronic fatigue is trying to prevent them from having a heart attack, because you give them the heart attack. So dietary suggestion and change of lifestyle is to support a healing process already in place, working with the body's intelligence of the clients, never against it. So it is imperative to develop a healthy appetite and follow what I call the 3 laws of dietary hygiene, working as more like a hygiene approach rather than a diet. Number 1, you have to eat regularly, never allow yourself to be hungry. And of course, don't eat too much. Stop eating as soon as satisfied. And number 3, pay attention to your body's reactions, not the food. If it's not appetizing, don't eat. It doesn't matter how much vitamin is in there, how much you've been told is good for you. If it's not appetizing, doesn't smell right, your body is not going to benefit from it. After that, there are some basic wisdom to follow in terms of avoiding anything that can compromise your health. Number 1, especially in this country, especially in North America, you have to eat organic. What we call organic is normal food. Not organic means contaminated. Being on the recovery path, you can't afford to accumulate toxins in the body. You can have your body trying to fight toxins when you're trying to produce more neurons in your nervous system. You don't have enough energy for that. So also use a good and clean source of fat. Fat is the food of the nervous system. So organic butter, organic cheese, olive oil, fish oil, coconut oil. You have to find the right nutrition for your nervous system. But it has to be good. It has to be every day. Kelp also, and seaweed. Now kelp and also seaweed for their minerals and mineral content is a very important food for the nervous system. Make your own fermented food, probiotics, again working with the large intestine. Again, remember, large intestine is such an important role in the healing process. And use a good healthy salt for cooking. And get rid of your table salt. And that's chemical salt, is pure sodium. And not only that, but the second ingredient in there is dextrose, it's the sugar. And it's not even salt, it's disgusting. And they say that the iodine would actually, the trace amount of iodine they put in there is insignificant. The iodine that's present in the regular sea salt is already plenty. And then you get more through kelp and seaweeds and ocean or sea-based food. Now, there's some food to avoid. So the table salt I just talked about, and anything that is being contaminated with, especially food, industrial food right now is Roundup, glyphosate. It's a Roundup really type called GMO. It's not GMO. GMO is okay, but it's Roundup ready, meaning that it's containing basically it's been vaccinated for Roundup. So that means every particle, every amino acid is holding a Roundup particle in there. And then, of course, the whole, because it's vaccinated, it can stand a higher amount of poison, and they do that. Rancid oils, especially on nuts. Make sure nuts are freshly shelled. Buy them shelled already and unshell them yourself. That's the best way. If not, they get rancid. And that's a poison for the nervous system. And margarine, same thing. Imitation butter, everything. It's like, plastic butter. It's no nutrition in there. So it's anything that would overload your liver. It's a drain on your nervous, not only your nervous system, it's your whole system. So if your system is tired, you cannot regenerate your nerves. So avoid low vitality foods, everything that's packaged, pre-made, reheated food, basically. It's no good, fast food, of course. Then we have some nerves enhancers. Unfortunately, some of them are herbal, so forbidden by the FDA. I mean, it's crazy, but I mean, even Chinese herbs are hard to get, and actually the herb that would be the best for enhancing the nervous system is forbidden, and that's ephedrine, mawang, ephedra. It's off the shelves everywhere. Anyway, other nervous system enhancers. So music, so good because also emotional. Slow walks in nature with the intention of increasing serotonin production. Swimming or just being in water, sitting in an armchair inside the low swimming pool, and just being in water. It's pretty beneficial. People with Parkinson, I was saying, Alzheimer. Any form of art and crafts. Dancing, drumming, learning to play an instrument, bouncing a ball, walking, crawling, playing on the trampoline, doing things, unusual things. So because it's not comfortable, they're going to need help, of course, in training every day. Now, most important, sleep and dream enhancers. Organic bananas. Organic banana tea, slice an organic banana with the skin, when they're important, in a pot with 3 cups of water boiled down to 1 cup. So about half an hour slow boil, or without the lead, whatever, on top. Deep breathing, meditation, writing a dream journal, going to bed earlier and earlier as the night gets longer during winter to be able to sleep around the clock and more during winter solstice. Naps and learning to sleep without being tired. Okay, so in conclusion, I want to discover through my practice that pain is easier to feel at the physical level than at the emotional level. When kept at the strict physical level, we dissociate from it and blame the discomfort on anything we can rationally find, and basically on blame it on the physical, mechanical, when actually it doesn't exist. And so to me, the role of pain is quite important to establish a certain bridge of awareness between place and the body that allows the mind and the person to acquire more consciousness. And working with the plasticity of the brain to give the right kind of exercise to get people to produce a new system of functioning, a new basically nervous system we build a little bit every day, night after night. So that's it. I hope this presentation will be useful, and thank you